Peace and welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii March. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We got a lot to talk about. First and foremost, let's talk about the tragedy in Nashville, Tennessee, where 3 children and 3 adults were shot and killed, and how this tragedy has opened up another part of the conversation about gun violence in this country, because now they're thrown into the mix gender and religion. We'll have that conversation. Plus, we got to talk about Jonathan Majors, the latest around his allegations about domestic abuse and of course, the implication that it has, and more importantly, like how it shapes us as fans of the actor, of how he moves forward. So that's gonna happen. Plus, later on, we're gonna be checking in with social worker Anissa Wesley to talk about how you can stop being a people pleaser. Yes, folks. How you can stop being a people pleaser. We got that and a whole lot more. Stay with us. I got my sister Suzette Speaks. And of course, we're broadcasting live with you. So stay with us. We got a lot to talk about on today's edition of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Let's go. All right, folks, welcome to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii March. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Woo! Woo! So excited to be joining you today. I am so excited. We took our pause to do our necessary work of upgrading the technical side of the show. As you can see, we got a new setup behind me right here. Look, take a look here, folks. It says, "We are the culture." Absolutely. We are the culture. And I'm very, very excited. I'm just so happy to be able to join you this afternoon to have these important conversations. I want to just say very quickly, if you didn't see my Facebook post, I want to say thank you to my beloved culture crew. Man, oh man, this is a community of folks that checked out. They checked in with me, wanted to check on my well-being. They said, "Farajii, are you okay? Is everything okay? Is the show still going to happen?" And I just cannot thank you enough for the great love that we felt on this side from the culture crew. So look, I love the culture crew. I appreciate each and every one of you for joining us and more importantly, supporting us as we're making these upgrades and making these changes so that way you can have a better viewing experience right here on the Black Star Network and the culture. So again, thank you for your great patience. Thank you for your support. Thank you for, accepting my sister, Suzette Speaks, who's going to be joining us in a moment as she guest hosted and we try to deal with some of these things. But again, your support means everything. And I'm telling you, big shout out to the culture crew. This is a community of folks, man. If you don't know who they are, just log into YouTube, log into Facebook, and you will be welcomed with a warm reception of folks, man. So big shout out to my online culture crew, man, for holding me down over these past few days. Let me bring in my sister as we start the show this afternoon. My sister Suzette Speaks. Speaking of YouTube, you can find her show on YouTube, Suzette Speaks. She's always going live. No problem.
We stay busy like you. We stay busy. How you doing? You looking great.
Hey,
live
and
in color. Let's go.
Look, Suzette, I'm feeling good. I'm excited. I'm ready to jump into these conversations. There's so much stuff that's been happening over the past few days. I'm like, damn, I can't wait to get on, boy. I can't wait to talk to the people.
I missed everybody. Welcome back, everybody. We live.
Oh, absolutely. We are broadcasting live right now on Black Star Network and, of course, on Amazon News. So make sure y'all check in. And if you check us out on Amazon News, you can go to your Roku television and you can just tell Alexa, pull up Black Star Network. And boom, there we are, loud and clear. There we go. All right, first and foremost, Suzette, let's talk about this first story. The story that has garnered the attention of the whole country. Another mass shooting has happened in Nashville, Tennessee, folks. And this one includes children, 3 children, and three adults were shot and killed in a Christian school And the unfortunate part about it, I mean, there's so many layers to this conversation, Suzette, because this is not just about access to guns, even though the shooter had access to a semi-automatic rifle, a gun that has often been, two of them, right, exactly, that have often been a part of the conversations. But this is also a story about gender and politics, and gender and religion, because we find that the gun person, she's a part of the LGBTQ community as a transgender individual, and she was a student, a former student of this school. And so it brings into another layer about this situation. And I have to say, first and foremost, our hearts and prayers goes out to the families of the victims there in Nashville. This is not an easy situation, especially considering you have children involved, children as young as the age of 9 years old, who were shot and killed and gunned down in this situation. But Suzette, this is this is a layered strategy, to say the least. But what's your take on this? Because I want to bring up some things as to use your expertise as an attorney. I wanted to kind of bring up some things on how do we, move forward in processing all of this just happened. What's your take on this stuff?
Well, I watched this unfold live, and again, it's great to be back, everyone. Thank you, guys. Please hit the like button. As Farajii and I kind of handle this topic, again, it is always a little bit taxing to think about young people who will never go back home to say hello to mom and dad, to love on them, to be and live out their fullest potential because of a mass shooting. We are looking at, yet again, a young person, 28 years old, Audrey, Aiden, crazy, and ended up rules, as well as 3 staff members, including the headmaster or principal at the Covenant School there in Nashville, Tennessee. The police are reporting that she has been living some of her social media accounts. She's been known as he, or uses male pronouns, and calls themselves Aiden. And that has created, I think, another layer of complexity to this particular, because this person does not fit what is considered to be the norm. Of course, we have seen a pattern where there is usually a young male, typically white, between the ages of teens to early 20s, that is disaffected and has a grievance of some sort, and then turns to violence in this very scary way. But this is a person, again, that doesn't fit that normal prototype. So it has sparked curiosity, I think, across social media. I think it has brought out some biases in terms of what transgender people are and who they are. And I think it's going to be a part of the conversation going forward, because people want to know what the mental health state and the reason behind why this mass shooting occurred.
So one of the big things about this, Suzette, is that the gun person legally purchased 7 guns from various local stores, including the 3 she used to gun down her victims at the Covenant School. 3, I mean, so we often have these conversations about access to guns. 28 years old, so it's not as if that Audrey Hale was just some young person, but the access to these high-powered rifles, these access to this type of guns that will do much damage to the human body. What can be said, or what can be at least be done on a political and legislative side to address this issue, that a person can go and buy 7 guns and the state not put a red flag? The state didn't say, hey, wait a minute, we saw you just buy a gun 2 days ago from this store, and now you're buying another one. I mean, obviously, if somebody's buying 7 guns in a very short time frame, something is going to happen.
Absolutely. Well, Tennessee does not have red flag laws. That's the big issue. Her parents, Audrey Hale's parents, had a concern because she was, now we know, under the care of a doctor, because she was in, and it was being called an emotional state, some kind of disturbed state, emotionally speaking. Her parents thought that she had not had a weapon, that one weapon that they knew about that she owned was no longer in her possession. They had no idea. She didn't live with them. It doesn't appear that she had lived with them at this time. It was unknown to them that she was going around purchasing more weapons. But again, without red flag laws, no one could have made some sort of, connection of the dots. But also, it takes people in contact with folks who are experiencing emotional disturbances for the reporting to happen. We know that in this case, Audrey Hill did reach out to one of her middle school basketball, teammates, someone that she knew via Facebook, still kind of kept in contact with. And that young lady, who happened to be an African-American young lady, did call a non-emergency hotline, suicide prevention hotline, on Ms. Hale's behalf. But at that time, she had already made her way over to the school and started her 14-minute long rampage. So we did have someone that tried to intervene after being contacted by this person. But again, there was no framework in the state of Tennessee for someone possibly to use to start to, ring the alarm that this person had in fact been seeing a doctor, had some kind of disturbance going on emotionally, and then was also buying several weapons in succession.
So the other part about this, and we're going to just kind of want to get your brief take on this before we take our first pause. But the other part about this is a person from the LGBTQ community, right? And this is also a person that has waged an attack on a Christian school. Do you think that we need to be concerned right now that there's going to be more violence coming? And this may not come from the LGBTQ community per se as members, but there might be more violence against the church. And this is something that Josh Hawley, one of the Trump supporters, but also he's one of the representatives for the state of Tennessee, brought out that this was a quote unquote an attack against Christianity. And I'm wondering, oh boy, you might be opening up a Pandora's box right there. That you're putting out there, that now the church is under attack, or church properties are under attack from those who may not agree with his policies, his ideologies. Do you think that folks should be concerned about that?
I think, Senator Hawley is going to do what he does best, which is to gaslight and to try to use this type of situation to rally his base. But unfortunately, I think the markings of this attack seemed to be more personalized because the shooter did once attend this K through, I think it's 6th grade school. She had, I want to use the proper pronouns, but they had a connection directly. So it wasn't a random attack based on, from what we know at this moment, based on religious beliefs. But I have not seen the manifesto that they left. And I would like to have more evidence before jumping to that conclusion. But I think kind of prematurely saying that this is specifically religiously motivated, I think is way too premature before we see any evidence of such.
Absolutely. Folks, we got to take a quick pause. When we come back, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this tragedy in Nashville as we're looking at this conversation as it relates to gender, as it relates to religion, and then as it relates to guns? Post your comments in the chat on Facebook, on YouTube. We would love to hear what you got to say. And of course, stay with us. We got a lot more to talk about with my sister Suzette Speaks and you right here on The Culture, right here on the Black Star Network. We'll be right back.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. We've been talking about the tragedy in Nashville, Tennessee, where 3 children, 3 adults were killed at the Christian school, the Covenant School, by a transgender individual by the name of Audrey Hale, 28 years old, who decided to purchase guns from local gun shops in Nashville and to commit this tragedy. Now, Audrey ended up being killed by police as a result of this situation, but it does open a conversation around gender, religion, and guns. Talking to my sister Suzette Speaks. Suzette, you know, we talked about Josh Hawley. You said that that this is too premature to say that this is an attack on Christianity. Keenan, I want to share what Josh Hawley actually said, the exact quote, so folks can see exactly what he had to say around this. He said, "We should be clear about what happened in Nashville. Police say the shooting was quote unquote targeted." This is what he tweeted just a couple of days ago. He said that makes it a federal hate crime against Christian children and teachers. Targeting victims on the basis of religious affiliation is a hate crime. It should be investigated as such. All federal resources necessary should be brought to bear. He also added, and those individuals or groups who have spread a message of hate against the Christian community, which resulted here in horrific violence, should be held to account. All right, so let me. I want to pick your brain on this one, Suzette. Mm-hmm. Is this a federal hate crime?
Again, based on the evidence that is currently here in the public sphere, unless Mr. Howley knows something that we don't know. Mm-hmm. This seems to be, the use of the word targeted, for me, seems to be a euphemism for premeditated. So mm-hmm. one can have a premeditated act that is not necessarily a hate crime. However, if there is other evidence, perhaps in the writings of this individual, that indicate that there is, and again, I have not seen it yet released by police. Obviously, there are always some concerns, especially with trying to give this type of declaration that kind of public scrutiny. It can inspire people. There are lots of reasons why they probably shouldn't release it, but unless there is some direct evidence that links the intention here, I don't see how this can be right now given that type of label, unless that senator knows something we don't know. This person attended the school. This person had a relationship with the school. Audrey Hale's parents attended the church. Being a former student there, again, there seems to be some other nexus, some other connection, maybe some other grievance. But I don't know. From the evidence that is clearly in the public sphere right now, it doesn't seem like it rises to the level of being a hate crime.
All right, I want to go to the online culture crew. I want to get folks' thoughts on this situation. Corinna checked it in. Corinna, talk to me. You said something I think that is interesting as well. You talked about the fact that that gun regulations, this is what you said, Corinna. You said gun regulations has to come from the ground up, not the top down. We the people must decide to fire these politicians with our vote and put those in place to pass legislations we demand, no other way. I agree with you, Corinna. I agree with you. But here's the problem. Not what you thought, Corinna, because I think you're on point. Here's the problem with how political leaders say one thing and then do another. Hey, Keenan, pull up the picture of Representative Andy Ogles and his family photo. We should have that photo. And I want to share with you folks, see, you can't talk about how the situation is a tragedy in this country around guns. And then you have this photo of you and your family, and it's going Keenan pulling it up. And this photo right here, this went viral, Suzette, because it speaks to the level of hypocrisy. You know what I'm saying, that we're seeing in this country, especially around this issue of guns. And let me be very clear too. I think that if we were to be honest with ourselves, we love guns in this community, in this country, more than probably any other freedom. We probably love it. You know what I'm saying? Outside of the freedom of speech, we probably love the whole right to bear arms. Do you agree or disagree with me on that?
I definitely agree that has become a cornerstone of the Republican Party's platform. But I think it's smoke and mirrors because, again, we have some other issues going on here. If right now, already since the beginning of the year, we're on the 129th mass shooting.
Come on,
this
man.
time last year, we were at 112. So
Wow.
we see increased frequency. I would add mental health to the list of things that, again, need to be addressed so that we can see that number go down. But when people are considering common sense gun reform, there is a cross aisle many times conviction for that type of change. But for some reason, those politicians, like the ones you just mentioned, feel obligated. I don't know if it's because of the NRA, other gun lobbies, that they cannot in any way give any room to any kind of common sense gun reform. This is the thing. So you heard President Biden come forward calling again for the assault rifle ban. You have a lot that can be done, but there seems to be no will to do it. So yes, we do have to pressure our elected officials more and more. But this is another tragedy where we're looking at only 6. This is some precious loss of life right here. And we are so desensitized to it because now, it wasn't 20. It wasn't Uvalde.
Right.
It wasn't these other 6. No, it shouldn't be okay. People send their kids. And that also, Farajii, I will say, it shows that there is no place that is in this country, not a private school, not a private Christian school, that can keep our kids from being in harm's way. This is touching very affluent, wealthy people. This is touching very poverty-stricken people. It is not something that is relegated to our most economically distressed areas of our country. This is what is, I think, very shocking to some because people are trying to move away from public schools, etc. And again, I don't have any problems with private schools if you want to send your child there and you can afford to, 100%. But I think we are now seeing that, again, no one is untouched by the scourge of gun violence. But is there enough political will in Congress to do something about it? We'll see.
Let me tell you why there's not enough of political will. Let's show the picture of Representative Andy Ogles. Let me show you why it's not enough. Look at this, y'all.
No.
This is a Christmas picture.
Sir.
Of a representative of the state of Tennessee. Christmas. Quote unquote, celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ, who's known as to be the Prince of Peace. And you got semi-automatic rifles in your Christmas pictures, man. Where's the peace?
The irony, the
I
don't know. This is like almost, I don't know. It would be almost like a spoof or some kind of satire if it wasn't real. Do you know what I'm saying?
That's the sad part, sis, because you got the teenage boy. Look at this. You got the young boy. He holding a rifle. They're all smiling. This is insanity. This is absolute insanity.
It is really frightening.
For a Christmas picture with guns out and just, hey, Merry Christmas.
Right.
But see, we can't have a real conversation about guns if you got your political officials putting out images like this. How you going to talk about guns? How you going to say we're going to hold somebody accountable? How you going to talk about somebody don't need to have the access and red flag laws? How you going to say, oh no, we got a culture of violence. You're standing on Christmas with a gun. You're celebrating a man who is about peace, about justice, a man who walked the earth meek, as they say. And you got a gun with your children holding a gun. I mean, make it make sense.
This is just, again, it is a cultural lightning rod that for some, that is an amazing picture that shows how wonderful it is to be able to bear arms. For others, you will look at it and it would be a shocking picture because it seems to be tone deaf to the fact that there are so many assault rifles, over 2 million of them, I think it has been an estimate, that are walking around here. Florida just passed permitless carry. So we are going to have, a heightened sense of danger for law enforcement, for the general public, and folks are not seemingly taking this, seriously. Yes, we want people to be able to own sensibly, guns so they can protect themselves. I get it, for personal protection. But when we have weapons of war on our streets and in the frequency that we are seeing them used in the ways they're being used, there seems to be a need for some real intervention. But again, we have folks on the other side of the aisle that see it quite differently, apparently.
Here's the thing. Here's the other thing. And this is the thing I looked at. I had to consider as we wrap up the conversation on this, is that suppose it was your child, Representative Ogles, that your little son or your daughter in a school and somebody came busting up in there. Now, they can't take that assault weapon to school. With the I wonder, would you still be standing there happy? Or would you go out with your assault weapon in a state of vigilantism to try to, quote unquote, get justice? Make it make sense, man. The culture of guns in this, the culture of violence is not just coming from the gun manufacturers. It's coming from every element, every corner of our society. And when you have political leaders putting out this type of messaging, it only adds to creating this violent culture that we're in. So, Suzette, this is going to be more than interesting to see how this situation pans out, especially for the state of Tennessee around this issue. Folks, we got to take another pause. When we come forward, let's talk about Jonathan Majors. There are a lot of questions that were asked and very few answers that were given in this allegation of domestic abuse. I'm going to have just a discussion about Mr. Majors and how we, those who are seeing his rise, how we are handling his celebrity, and more importantly, how we are handling this situation. Stay with us. The conversation continues right here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol,
we're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear. Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network, and black-owned media, and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to the show. Welcome back to The Culture. Larry, let's talk a little bit about rising superstar Jonathan Majors. This is the black actor who has been seen in a number of acclaim-worthy projects such as Lovecraft Country. We have seen him in the hit show Loki by Marvel, and which allowed him to be in the new movie Ant-Man and the Wasp. And of course, we have seen him in Creed 3, and he got more shows, more movies that are expected to drop very soon. The next one is a Sundance Festival feature called Magazine Dreams that many people are excited about. But that excitement is going to be put on hold because this past Saturday, Mr. Majors was arrested for a domestic abuse charge with his girlfriend in a Manhattan apartment on Saturday, early Saturday morning. He was released on his own reconnaissance. He was released on Saturday night, and he has been arraigned, and he is due back in court in a few weeks. But it has opened up the conversation about celebrity. It has opened up the conversation about black actors being treated one way versus other black actors, and more importantly, it's opened up the conversation about how we have put Mr. Majors on a pedestal, and now it looks like he may be falling from grace. Let me bring my sister Suzette Speaks back into the discussion. Suzette, with Jonathan being in hot water like this, I'm wondering, can he recover?
Man, this story right here is really sad, really convoluted. We're still going to believe everyone is innocent until proven guilty. The attorney and me wanted to go deeper and try to find out the facts. I had to go to places like Inside Edition online to figure out what really happened. And what has been said allegedly is that Mr. Majors himself did call police last Saturday after some sort of disagreement. Some would now say because there is a court record altercation in which he thought, and this is again a legal which I say lesson. I think a lot of people of color must understand that when you initiate contact with the police, what tends to sometimes happen. Again, I'm not saying that what he did or didn't do was not, again, something that was against the law. I'm just saying sometimes when we initiate these things, we don't think about what will happen. He called in terms of and said that allegedly that the young lady, some are now saying the person is a 30-year-old white woman, happened to be his girlfriend, who is an actress, was having an emotional breakdown. There are reports alleging that there is videotape of what took place in the back of a taxi, in which there are reports that he allegedly had his phone. She allegedly tried to take it. He tried to take it back. There again, until I see the video, I don't really want to comment too much on what actually took place. His attorney is saying that once the video is released, it will fully exonerate him and show his innocence. Then police show up at their apartment in the Chelsea area. She has allegedly has marks or a laceration of some sort from him hitting her. That's what is being alleged. That's what's in the charging documents that are in, New York Unified Court. I looked it up. And the police report and the charges accordingly are basically saying that he, in some way, shape, or form, assaulted, someone to call it battered, this woman. She is still recanting parts of her story right now. Again, that is not typical when it comes to domestic violence allegations. So it is a very disturbing charge. It is one in which, again, it is hard to prove yourself innocent until you get your court date. He's coming back to court on May 8th. But for those of us who have been fans of his, longtime fans of his, and seeing him finally get some, just due when it comes to these bigger roles with, these larger productions, it is absolutely sad that something like this has, now created some sort of mark on him. And again, it might be justifiable, but I will always kind of rest in what the evidence will show us. So for right now, there's still a lot of allegations out there. And I think we need to hold withhold judgment for now. But again, if he has committed these type of crimes, he needs to be held accountable.
Well, and I would totally agree with that assessment. And I think that, like you mentioned, that the all the information has not been revealed just yet, because it's more of like a he say, she say type of situation at this present moment when you're talking about the evidence. But I think, one, the fact that Jonathan Majors' attorney saying that the victim, quote unquote, the victim, his girlfriend, recanted her statements, that's a red flag for me. That's a red flag because, now are we talking about a situation where she really got hurt, or was she told to kind of, given some hush money, or is it a situation where she really was the victim of some level of abuse and brutality from the brother, and she doesn't want to, get any more backlash because he is a powerful new celebrity, right? Like, he is a powerful celebrity that people love, people have come to adore, and so she might be catching some backlash on that, which is a sad state of affairs if that's the case. So it speaks volumes. But here's the other thing about this whole case, and I thought this was very interesting. Filmmaker and director's assistant A.B. Allen, when this situation was revealed last week, some cryptic tweets were posted about Jonathan Majors. Take a look at this, folks. This is from filmmaker and director's assistant A.B. Allen, who is a person within the industry who said he has worked with Jonathan Majors, but at the same time says that this is not something new, that Jonathan Majors actually has a problem. And this is what Mr. Allen posted on Twitter and has since deleted the tweet. But he said, quote, there's a particular actor. Now he wrote, and this is the other thing, Suzette, he posted this back in February, before all of this went down. So take a look at this. He said, there's a particular actor relatively new on the scene who Twitter has violently fallen head over heels for. He said, who in actuality is a vicious, cruel, abusive human being, both professionally and in his personal life, and every new viral thirst tweet about him drives me insane. That's one. The second person, who is an actor and stage director, Tim Nicolai, he said was even more pointed, alleging in a since deleted tweet that folks at Yale and the broader New York City community have known about Jonathan for years. He's a sociopath, an abuser, and that is how virtually everyone speaks about him. It's a shame it took this long for him to be reported. Now, both of these tweets have been deleted since they were posted, but they were posted last week as a result when the news came out about this situation. Now, first and foremost, if you're going to throw out some words like that, let me just say this, because I think, and I mean, we hate to do it, but it's kind of hard to deny. These are tweets from two white men about a black man. So if you're going to throw out the sociopath situation, sociopath label, that's not a light term to throw out there in the public discourse about an individual, that they are a sociopath. I know we use the term, oh, he crazy. But in the public discourse, especially about an individual as popular, as powerful as Jonathan Majors, now you're painting him to look like he's King Kong beating up on a helpless white woman. And that is a dangerous slope. That's a dangerous slope for us to go down. So I think we need to really check on the situation in terms of using that label. But both of these individuals are saying he has some problems. He got some serious problems. Keenan, I want you to pull up when you get it and just let me know. The NPR interview that Jonathan Majors did just a few weeks ago, where he talked about why he decided to, wear pink for that infamous Ebony cover. Let me know when you got it. But here's the thing, though, and I want to get some folks from the crew to share their thoughts about this. Are we so fascinated, Suzette? Do you think that we are just so fascinated that we're just willing to gloss over a person's indiscretions or a person's, for lack of a better word, a person's shortcomings, to the point where we're like, we couldn't see it? Because I've seen a lot of people say, no, some people in Black Twitter saying, hey, man, this dude got a real problem. This is not good. Some people are mad at him for having a white girlfriend. Some people are saying that, you know what?
Man,
she lying.
Farajii, there's so many pieces to this puzzle. We gonna break it all.
I don't get it.
The thing is, the way in which we have to look at this is as critically as if it were anybody else, right? So being that he happens to be an African American man who also is highly talented, wonderfully skilled at his craft, we are hearing, for me, the first time of some kind of behavior that demonstrates a lack of, integrity, character, and possibly rises to the point of being criminal. So for me, I'm not in these circles or any of that. This is the first time I'm hearing some kind of remark being made of him that is, kind of questionable, in which he is, somebody who we in the public don't see. So this is a part of us that has to be objective, because someone can be both very talented and also still have challenges and even problems. So I find it interesting that both of these industry people ended up deleting their tweets. I think about defamation. I think about how libel and these other laws can come into play, because the only defense to some of them is that it's the truth, right? So without proper evidence, there's so much nuance and innuendo and speculation going on. There's a part of me that I know how difficult it is to kind of clear your name once this starts to swirl around you. Now, it might be swirling with good cause. This might actually be a character, a flaw, to put it lightly, that he possesses. But we don't know. And we have to be very careful that we don't quickly pile onto somebody. And then when the evidence actually comes out, we say, oh no, and we've ruined a person's life. But again, if the accountability is deserved, there should be accountability.
There should be accountability. There should be accountability, and I think that is the part about this. Let me just go to this very quickly before we take our pause. Keenan, let's show this NPR that Jonathan Majors did as he was promoting Creed. Check it out, though.
A few days ago, you were trending on Twitter.
Yep.
Some people didn't like that you were wearing pink and ebony, and they felt like it wasn't masculine enough.
Yeah.
What do you say to those? I mean, I think they're haters. I think it's toxic.
I like to meet the fellas. You know what I mean?
Well, I think you think they would want to meet you though, because they might have to.
I don't even take it there. You know what I mean? I would just like to. I'd just be curious.
What they have to say.
Tell me what masculinity is. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't want to walk up on me in the street. You know what I mean? Like just 110%. You know what I mean? Like, but it's bigger than that. It's love. You know, it's like there's strength and there's vulnerability. There's awareness, and then there's acknowledgement of ignorance. A big part of it is kindness, use of power, gentleness. These are masculine characteristics.
Yes.
It's quite unmasculine to try to emasculate another man.
Well.
Suzanne, I was like, when I saw that, I was like, I got to bring that to the show.
Yeah, I mean, two things can be true about a person.
Oh, wait, hold on. Hey, Suzanne, I know where you about to go. Hey, let me just tell you. But he didn't deny the fact that don't walk up on me.
This is true. Yeah.
I said if I wouldn't walk up on me if I was on the street.
This is true. Yeah, like I said, there's so many parts to people and parts that we don't see, especially when it comes to people in Hollywood, that again, we can kind of compartmentalize sometimes and think they are their characters, or they are like who, they are even in the interviews. But again, this is an entertainment industry. So I will withhold judgment for now as more evidence comes out. But yeah, I think it's going to be very tough to swallow if some of this that, kind of gets corroborated in terms of what the rumors that we just read from these other guys in Twitter. But again, he deserves the benefit of the doubt until we see the evidence.
Shalinda said very quickly, always trying to take a black brother down, take down a black brother. Idris Elba will be next, huh? I don't know.
People feel like this.
It's been around for a minute, though. Idris been around for a minute, so this is new stuff. Unless Idris does something wild and crazy.
I would like to see the tape of what happened. If there's tape, I would like to see it for myself, and then I can make a better assessment.
Right. Well, I agree with him. I agree with him in saying that, masculinity is gentleness and kindness. But he will whip your ass.
We can't laugh about it, because again, if it's this situation, we talk about in general, not necessarily this specific situation.
No, I'm just saying, like, that's the type of guy. Jonathan Majors is an army brat. He described himself as an army brat. He moved around a lot. You know what I'm saying? He has that experience. That's why the army put him in their ad. They pulled it, but they didn't totally destroy it. But it's just the fact that there are some things in it, and I think that your point is absolutely pivotal for us to keep in mind as we close out on this, Suzette. You don't know the complexities of the human being, right? Even if they're in Hollywood, there are so many different layers and levels to human behavior that we can't get it past us. I would like to think that the brother didn't put his hands on a woman, but guess what? I don't know Jonathan Major.
Exactly.
I don't know. So to your point, Suzette, we will have to see, and even we may never fully know what happened in the cab or at the apartment or what happened in that incident. But trust and believe, I don't put it past nobody nowadays. Unfortunately, I don't put it past anyone. All right, we got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, let's change up the conversation. We're going to be checking in with social worker and author Anissa Wesley to talk about her book, Please Excuse My Brave, and why it's important for us to not be people pleasers. Stay with us. That conversation is up next here on The Culture, right here on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland@RolandSMartin.com. Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol,
we're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii March. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're tuning in, you might be like, Farajii, things look a little different. Yes, they do, folks. We upgraded technical stuff, and we changed up the set a little bit to give you a better viewing experience here on the Black Star Network. So check out the new digs right here behind us. You know, we got some black art and all the good stuff here right now. But check this out. This is my message for the day, folks, and this is going to change every so often, and when I get inspired. But today, we are the culture. That's what it is, folks. We are the culture. So definitely, we appreciate the ongoing support, and thank you so much for tuning in. I've been talking to my sister, Suzette Speaks. Y'all know Suzette. She got a show on YouTube. You can definitely check her out there on YouTube, and she's been doing some fantastic Pantheon exclusives with yours truly, and talking about a whole lot of other stuff. And I'm so grateful that my sister is able to join us here every Wednesday to have these conversations about the culture. Now, we're going to bring another dynamic Black woman into the mix. She serves as a licensed clinical social worker, and she's author of the new book, Please Excuse My Brave. And she talks about the consequences of being a people pleaser. And so I want to pick her brain, and Suzette, we're going to pick her brain about, you know, what does that mean and how does that impact our life? So we want to welcome to the airwaves of the culture and the Black Star Network, my sister, Anissa Wesley. Anissa, thank you so much for checking in this afternoon. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing good. How are you guys doing today?
We're good. We are absolutely good. First and foremost, Anissa, let me pick your brain. Jonathan Majors, when you look at these situations like this, I don't know, you probably like, Farajii, I ain't want to talk about this. But guess what? It's the culture. We got to talk about it. You're a social worker, right? You study human behavior.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you see a man he's obviously like a very masculine, yet some people might deem him to be a gentle giant. And he put himself out there as being this man of different complexities, of different layers. He's not afraid to wear pink, but he will bust you in the mouth in a movie about boxing. You know what I mean? Like all of these different layers. What do we make of an individual like him?
I mean, human beings, like you're saying, are complex. And so, I mean, I don't know him personally. We don't know him personally. And so I can't put my own judgment on what happened or the situation. But, you know, that's how I look at people. I don't know really what happened. So I think it's a complex situation. We know him as an actor. We don't know him personally. Everybody is not perfect. You know, like people aren't perfect. People get into stuff, but I also heard the point of view that a lot of times what society does is try to pinpoint our imperfections as Black people and, you know, highlight that instead of highlighting some of the amazing things that we've done, right? So it's just an unfortunate situation to me.
Oh, absolutely. And I, you know, just very quickly, you know, when you have a domestic violence or domestic abuse situation like this, you know, I always, you know, give space for the victim, most of the time being the woman, making sure that the woman is not forgotten about. How do we make sure that that is not that's the case, even in a conversation like this about somebody who our people have come to love?
I think you definitely can send that person resources. You know, there are domestic violence shelters. There are people that you can talk to, like a licensed clinical therapist like myself, to feel safe. I think that's what is most important for someone who's been through domestic violence or even witnessed domestic violence, like children. It's a traumatic experience, and the help that is needed is sometimes it's hard to, like, I think it's a really complex subject as well, domestic violence, because we don't know what's going on in that person's head. A lot of people are always trying to pinpoint, like, well, why doesn't she leave, or why don't they leave? And it's just a complicated scenario. And I hope and I pray that they would leave. But at the same token, in that time, I think if you know someone or someone close to you has experienced domestic violence, you need to make sure they know you're a safe place for them. And if you have those resources to call emergency services or even mental health services for them to so that they have access to that support.
Absolutely, absolutely. I want to look. We're going to have to take another quick pause. When we come back, Anissa, I want you to talk to us about your book. Please excuse my brave, because I think this is an interesting title for a book. And me and Suzette, we're gonna go just try to figure out why we can't be people pleasers, because we're in the media.
Yeah, right.
I want people to love me, Anissa.
Yeah, we all do. I think that's a
I had
thing.
this conversation with my homegirl yesterday. She want to be nice to everybody, and I'm like, sis, you're gonna get burnt. You're gonna get hurt. These people will use up your energy. These people will use you, and you better create a boundary. You better create a loving boundary, and reclaim your time. Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah.
See, this is why I wanted to have the both of you on the show at the same time, because I need this energy right now. All right, we got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, more conversations with Anissa Wesley, who is a licensed clinical social worker. She's a therapist and author of the new book, Please Excuse My Brave. More conversations with Suzette Speaks, and of course with you. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland. Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Pull up a chair. Take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
We're all impacted by the culture, whether we know it or not. From politics to music and entertainment, it's a huge part of our lives, and we're going to talk about it every day right here on The Culture with me, Farajii Muhammad, only on the Black Star Network.
I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show, Get Wealthy, focuses on the things that your financial advisor and bank isn't telling you, but you absolutely need to know. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. We've been talking to licensed clinical social worker therapist Anissa Wesley, who serves as the author of the new book, Please Excuse My Brave. There it is, folks. Ooh, that's a beautiful cover there, Anissa.
It
is. Nothing but that black girl magic and joy.
It's beautiful.
As you talk about how the implications of being a people pleaser may affect your mental health, and this is very, very, very interesting. And like my sister Suzette talked about, she talks about this stuff all the time on her show. You know what I mean? Being like positioning yourself, taking, as you said earlier, Suzette, reclaiming your time, reclaiming your space, setting boundaries. So I want to get Anissa first. I want to get your take on what was the inspiration behind this? Did you find yourself being in a position where people always had, quote unquote, access to you to the point where you felt like you didn't know who you were at some point? Where did this book come out of?
So, absolutely. Thank you for opening that up, because definitely some of the inspiration behind me writing this book about overcoming fear and people pleasing and, overcoming anxiety was because those were places that I found myself in due to personal things in the past, like always being that yes person and having friendships and relationships where I felt like I couldn't let people down. Like I had to be this nice person all the time. I had to show up, and not in a way that, you show up for your people, because I don't think it's wrong to do that. But to the extent where now I was burnt out and tired, and again, like Raji was saying, kind of like not knowing who I was anymore, not knowing if the people in my life really cared about me, because, I was just always doing what they wanted me to do or expected me to do. And so the reason why I wrote this book is because I knew that I wasn't the only one, right? Like I knew that there were people who could relate to this and people who needed a way to break free of that and to move forward from being stuck in that perpetual cycle of people pleasing due to past trauma, due to abandonment. Fear of abandonment or rejection was a lot of the reasons why people please, because why else would you put yourself at such a low podium and put everybody else on such a higher podium and then realize that you're depleted? So a big part of, definitely writing this book was going through my own journey and realizing that this is something that especially Black women, especially women of color, everybody can relate to it, I'm sure, but I believe that it is something that I hear so much from my brothers and sisters in the Black community about, just feeling like I don't want to let people down. And like to an extent, I don't think that's wrong, but to a certain extent, I do think that we need some healing in that area as a whole. So how can we be there for people, set those proper boundaries, and still make sure that we're taking care of ourselves and our own souls and our own mental and emotional health?
So, and then Suzette, I'd like for you to jump in on this as well. But I'm wondering, Anissa, is it because we have always been conditioned from childhood up into adulthood to believe that we should not be selfish? We should not be selfish with our material things. We should not be selfish with our time. We should, and in some cases, not be selfish. And this is really destructive. We should not be selfish with our bodies. Do we need to kind of like get back to a place where we're telling people, especially children, it is okay to say no if someone asks you for something? Because guess what, Anissa? I don't care what nobody say. I tell my children, you don't always got to share.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She's mad at me already.
No, that's different, because I never heard that. It was always give up your bed.
I tell them you ain't got to share.
Yeah, so
I tell them you do not have to share. Now you can, if you want to share, that's fine. Especially if when you're brothers and sisters, it's one thing, but when you're talking about, say, some of their friends, they don't have to share. No. Just because you see my child with something, they like, you know how you get some of them children, Anissa. They see they see a little boy there. I want some of your ice cream. Like, no, you don't have to share.
Yeah.
So is that part of the problem here?
I believe so. I believe that a lot of people were raised through saying that being selfish, right? Or what is selfish anyway? How do we define being selfish? Because like I said, if you're putting yourself last and you're putting someone else first, there's nothing wrong with putting someone before you, being compassionate, being caring. But if it's to the point where you're now depleted and you can no longer give, right? What they say, you cannot pour from an empty cup. It sounds cliche, but it's so true. And I think we need to really let that resonate and marinate in ourselves and our hearts, because it's it's one of those things where I plan to teach my children how to have that balance. There's a balance there. Like, yes, you should share sometimes, but however, if you don't want to share, or if you feel like this person is not safe to share with, then you shouldn't share. If you don't want them to touch you, you don't want to hug, if you don't want to, like those kind of things, you don't have to do that. And you can have those healthy boundaries with yourself and with others so that you don't end up being depleted, because there's only one of us, right? We only get one. And so and I like to use the example of a job as well. You go to a job and you burn yourself out working for that job, and you have to go on medical leave and you're not able to go back, that job is going to replace you in 2 seconds.
Come on.
So,
I
mean, you know what I'm saying?
On.
Just being real. So if you are going to do that, you might as well be taking care of yourself. They're going to replace you anyway. If that happens, you might as well take care of your own health. You might as well not get to the point where you're depleted and start to recognize those signs beforehand, which is kind of like what my book does and how it helps people to recognize some of these things and get past some of those old patterns, because that's what they are. They're cycles, they're patterns. And a lot of times, like I said, it comes from trauma from the past, comes from, like you said, your childhood, how you were taught, how you perceive things. So a lot of times we just need a different perception, a different outlook on things, so that we know that taking care of yourself is not selfish, right? Putting yourself in that first place sometimes is not a bad thing. So just reconceptualizing that for us as a culture.
Suzette.
Talk about the religious overlay, because I think my friend girl and I'm not going to put all our business out here. I did not have
put her business out, Suzette.
But she wants to do the Christian thing and the right thing towards people. Ooh. We all do if you grew up in that type of context. But if people keep showing you over and over again, they don't have your back, they don't mean you well, they're creating trauma, they're creating chaos, they're creating toxicity, there has to be I forgave her, but, right? So sometimes I think that there is a imbalance or lack of wisdom in how to apply what is often, for many of us who grew up in the church, a well-meaning intent towards allowing people to grow. But what do you say to people who oftentimes want to give because of that principle within inside themselves, but they're still seeing people who maybe are kind of misusing or even exploiting them?
Well, I would say, what would God say about that? Like, if you're a Christian and you feel like these are the Christian principles, and this person keeps on, like, you keep doing the right thing, you keep showing up for this person, you keep putting out your pockets for this person, right? And they keep making you be hurt at the end of the day. I don't think God at the end of the day wants us to be hurt. I think God, and even in the commandment, it says, love your neighbor as yourself, which means you have to love yourself enough to know when something is hurting you and when something is no longer healthy for you. So I think that there is a place for, like I said, being kind, being compassionate, being consistent, right? Being a person of character. But at the same time, if this is damaging to your life, and if this person is intentionally taking advantage of you, I believe that it is healthy and okay to separate and create a boundary there. In the Bible, we learn all about boundaries, right? So I think that God wants us to have healthy boundaries with others and with ourselves. He wants us to have healthy community. And so I think that it's important to, have that kind of balance. Again, it's about balance. I don't think anybody is doing it perfectly out here. Nobody's, perfected this thing, but at the same time, you can recognize when somebody is only hitting you up when they need something. You can recognize when it's an imbalanced type of friendship. So,
Girl, we got to take a break, but come back with some more of this. This is good.
Wait a minute, hold on. Hey, yo, and let me
speak the truth, sis. Tell them.
Suzette, like, yo, wait, but hold on. Before I get to spirit, we gotta take a break, y'all. I gotta take a break. I just need a glass of water. No, but it makes me think of the Rick Ross line, God forgives, I don't.
or what's his name? Try Jesus, don't try me. Cause I throw hands. Oh, Toby. Shout out to Toby.
All right, look, we got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, we're going to continue to talk about this. Please excuse my brave. We're checking in with author and social worker Anissa Wesley. Folks, I'm going to share with what you got to say from my crew. And let's continue to talk about the consequences of being a people pleaser. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to the show. We've been talking to Anissa Wesley, who is a licensed social worker and author of the book, Please Excuse My Brave, talking about what we can do to not be people pleasers, but actually it's learning how to love and please ourselves first, setting up healthy boundaries within our relationships, friendships, intimate relationships, and more importantly, getting back to loving ourselves. All right, let me go to what the crew got to say, because a lot of people are checking in, Suzette and Anissa, around this talk, this conversation, and I think we touching some people's nerves, because we talked about
preachers in the chat.
Look, the preachers in the chat. I see my man Damon, my brother Damon.
They throwing the verses out there.
I always love people when people say, "No, I love you from a distance."
Yeah, but I ain't gonna forget.
But guess what? We don't live next to each other, so that distance is far, bro.
I love it. All
right, let me go to what folks are saying here. Tia, you said God does not want us to enable mediocrity, immaturity, or wickedness.
That part. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, Tia. Absolutely. Thank you, sis, for checking in. Corinna, you said forgiveness does not require reconciliation.
Yeah.
Boy, we got some hard hearts in the crew today, boy. Boy, Vincent, my man said, yes, love yourself with two hands. So that means you get nothing.
I mean, you can forgive, but the person may not accept the forgiveness. I mean,
right.
Or say sorry. People don't say sorry, and you still got to forgive them.
Well, you know what? Here's the other part about this, Anissa and Suzette. I mean, to that point, like, people don't say sorry, right? But we really are in a culture where people don't know boundaries, right? People don't think that they're hurting you. Everybody, and I've seen this in a lot of relationships. People just kind of impose themselves into your life, right? There's a term that they use in dating. I'm sure you talked about this, Suzette, on the show. Love bombing.
Yeah.
You know, you come into somebody's life, you show them this intense affection for them, and for a very short period of time, and then for whatever reason, you dip out. And you just blew up their whole life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's like we really do have problems with boundaries right now, Anissa. And I'm wondering, You talked about, you said earlier in your remarks, you talked about this, having this conversation among your brothers and sisters in the community. Did we do that to ourselves? Like, have we set up a situation in our relationship, a culture within our relationships where we open ourselves up to love bombing because we are yearning and seeking love. We are yearning and seeking acceptance. We are yearning and seeking, closeness to individuals. I'm not talking about romantically. I'm just saying being able to connect with people. And here's why I'm saying it, because there was a new study that came out just a few days ago, and they said that Americans now are more lonely now than we've ever been before. We weren't even this lonely during the height of the pandemic. And now in 2023, it is currently standing that we are lonelier now than we have ever been before, even though we have technology that is supposed to be, quote unquote, bringing us together, making us friends, right? Making us to nurture these connections. But the reality is that we are lonely. Like a lot of us feel alone. And so that has opened the door for a lot of vulnerabilities.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I don't know if love bombing is our fault. I think the person doing the love bombing always has a motive, an ulterior motive, which is to get something or to, soften the offense that happened without taking accountability for their actions. Because love bombing is something usually seen in someone with narcissistic personality traits. I won't say personality disorder because, but I do think that a lot of us have those vulnerabilities, and sometimes we can be susceptible to believing what happens or what comes out of someone's mouth, even if their actions don't align. So it's like, you're saying you love me, you're saying all these things, and you're throwing all these things my way, but your actions are hurtful consistently. So, being able to click in our minds, I think it's the trauma, or like you were saying, kind of like the desire to want to be liked and to be loved. I think, I believe God put us here to have community and have relationship with people. So there is that need for connection. However, I think it can become unhealthy when we're seeking it from the unhealthy source, from the on hurting us. And I can say for a lot of women, it can possibly come from a mother or father wound, wanting that attention, wanting that approval from your father, your mother, someone who was supposed to care for you, and then they consistently hurt you. They consistently didn't show up for you. And so you're actually like, this is normal. This is kind of like what I've been used to, dealing with in my whole life. And so this person is doing what they did, and they said they love me, so this person must love me too. So it is, again, about healing from those past traumas, those past abandonments, and those past feelings of rejection that will help us to be able to decipher, like, okay, is this love bombing, or is this person's actions lining up with their words? And so, that way we can choose the healthier thing in the healthier relationship.
Suzette, what's your take on that?
Yeah, in this regard, Anissa, what do you say when it comes to introducing new people into your circle? Because I think a lot of times, and I tell people all the time, I started doing women's events because it was so hard to make friends as an adult, because people have either portions of their lives that you're useful in, or that you have things in common, or you have, the same interests, you like going out, or you like, a particular sport or event, et cetera, et cetera. How do you know how quickly you should ingratiate someone into your life? Because I find a lot of times women to women as friends, it's not really love bomb, but it's like fast friendships, or what appears to be fast friendships. And they realize, the other person may have ulterior motives, idiosyncrasies, just don't have an alignment that they thought they first had. And then you told old girl all your business, or you opened yourself up to, all of their life, and then you realize, wait a minute, I can't meet that expectation, nor do I want to make that expectation, or the boundaries are now blurred because we met professionally, but now we friends, but now I still got to pay you, but you got to pay me. I think a lot of people they want and yearn for connection so that they are open quickly to people. What advice would you give to people to maybe even slow down a bit, or how to quickly decipher what a person's intent may be, because you don't really even know then, before you open yourself up completely? Or should we be opening ourselves up to completely? What would you say?
That is a great question. That's a great point.
That really is a great question. I think for my own experience and what I've seen in the past is that you can treat a friendship, not necessarily exactly like a romantic relationship, because that's weird, but you can kind of have some of those same ideas. Like, you wouldn't just jump into a romantic relationship with someone, or at least you shouldn't, right? So you would get to know them. You would go on dates. You would see if this person is a good fit for your life. You would, get to know this person, and then you would slowly begin to let them in to different parts of your life, right? So I think when you're adding a new friend in adulthood, you can do those same things, because anyone who's ever been through a friendship breakup, some of those same feelings kind of come up from romantic breakups. Like, it hurts.
It's
painful. It's probably more painful than the romantic breakup. So, like you were saying, Suzette, just kind of like slowing it down, getting to know this person, getting to know their character, asking them questions like, who are you, sis? Like, what brings you here? What do you want from this friendship? I think as adults, we need to start using our mouths and communicating our expectations in friendships. I had a conversation with some of my friends, and I'm like, look, in this season of my life, this is what I need. I need X, Y, and Z. And, are you willing to do that? If not, then we're going to have to.
Wait a minute. But here's my pushback on that, Anissa. Here's my pushback on that. All right. You ready for it? You ready?
Yeah.
My pushback is when you try to order friendships a certain way. Because human dynamics and human relationships, they evolve. They have so many different, iterations, right? And you try to create this made-to-order friendship. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, what do you bring in my life? Okay, that works. Okay, what do you bring in my life? No, I don't want that. I need a little bit less of that and more of that. But we'll get back to you. Like, if we're getting into a place that we start to try to figure out if people can fit into our lives the way they are, instead of allowing people to come into our lives to make it better. Aren't we setting ourselves up to be on a slippery slope? Aren't we finding ourselves to be in friendships and relationships that don't empower us, but rather friendships and relationships that confine us?
Wow. Well, you put it that way. I think that, as adults, I'm not saying the person has to be perfect, but I'm saying if, as you grow into friendships, say you've been friends with this person for a long time, but as you grow, you develop, you change, you evolve, you go through different stuff in different seasons of your life, and you need different things, and you need different things from people. So I'm not saying like cut them off. I'm saying if this person is not willing to give in that season what you need, and you're not willing to give what they need, because it's a two-way thing. It's not just, it's about me in this friendship and forget what you need. It's about both people in the relationship. And so it's it's a two-way street. It's a reciprocal thing. If I'm telling you, like, look, this is my love language, and I love how you love me, but let me show you something, or let me let you into what I'm needing in this time. So, and if that person is like, okay, I'm gonna try, I'm gonna try my best, that's not their strength, okay, you give them grace, right? But at least you've communicated to them, like, okay, these are my boundaries, this is what I need, and the other person has communicated that as well. Like, you don't have unexpected or unmet expectations in your friendship, because that's what a lot of times brings that frustration, right? When you have unmet frustrations that haven't been communicated, then now you're like, well, if I was her, I would have done this, but you're not her, and she's not you. So we cannot expect ourselves from people, and we cannot expect people to be mind readers in any relationship. So we don't tell them that there's an issue or that there's a need. They don't know. But once you've communicated it, then that person who I would assume values the friendship with you because they're still in it would try to, help it the way that they can. Like they may say, you know what, I can't do this, but this is what I can do. Or like it's not like a cut and dry, look, this is what I need. If you can't do this, then we can't be friends. Like, I don't think it's that. But what I'm saying is, as you're growing and developing, especially in new friendships or even in old friendships that you've had for a long time, and now you're not a people pleaser anymore and you have to reestablish those boundaries, then that's when we can start to develop. I mean, as an adult, if I'm not changing and growing, then what am I doing? What are we doing? Mm-hmm. So
and see, now I'm so happy. See, now I gotta keep you on for a few more minutes. That's the problem with relations, with conversations like this. I gotta keep you on a little bit longer because I think that it's interesting that we say that we want to change and grow, but I'm not sure, Anissa and Suzette, and y'all tell me if I'm wrong. I don't know if everyone is clear about what that change is. What does that growth look like? Right? We just keep saying, oh, I need to change and grow. I want to grow. But do you really know? Because some of us, of course, we all should want to grow. We all should want to evolve. But the reality is that if you look at our friendships, if you look at our relationships, they follow a pattern. It's like a similar pattern. And you're like, where's the change? Where's the growth? You know what I mean? And then if somebody who is outside of that network, outside of that pattern, is introduced into our lives, then it becomes like a cluster. You know what I mean? It's like, oh my God, like, no, I don't think I can handle this person. They just doing too much. This, blah, blah, blah. And that's on the women's side. For the guys, please. I'm out in Los Angeles. I try to build friendships with black men here. You know what I'm saying?
They're nervous.
You gotta get past the layers.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Be like, what's up, bro? What's up, bro? You black? Yeah, I'm black.
What you want? What you about? What you doing?
Right.
Yeah, they nervous.
So, I gotta take a quick pause. When we come back, we're gonna continue the conversation with my sister Anissa Wesley, my sister Suzette Speaks, and of course, if you stay with us, we're talking about Please Excuse My Brave. More comments from you and my crew, and of course, we want to have more conversations. Stay tuned. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to the show. Welcome back. We've been checking in with Anissa Wesley, who is... All right, so folks, welcome back to the show. We've been checking in with Anissa Wesley, who is a licensed clinical social worker and author of the book, Please Excuse My Brave, having a very, very informative and thought-provoking conversation about building relationships, setting boundaries, and a whole lot more. We're checking in with Anissa. We still got my sister Suzette Speaks, and I want to hear more from you, my culture crew, to get your thoughts on all of these dynamics as we're talking about how to be good people in the midst of all of this other stuff. But yeah, real talk, Anissa, I want to get back to this. As a Black man, building relationships with other Black men, have you found that some of your clients, your Black men clients, may have said, yeah, it's kind of hard to build relationships with brothers nowadays?
Yeah, I think it's typically harder for Black men to build newer relationships. You know, if they've had friends from high school or even college, then it's different. But I think it's almost the same when it comes to adult relationships in women and in men. It's just harder to build those connections when you're an adult, and so I think it gets a little bit complex because people's walls go up, right? Like at 30-something years old, 20-something years old, 40-something years old, you might have some experiences with people now. And so now you might have what I like to call a wall or a brick wall up to where you're not letting in even good things come into your life. And so breaking down some of those walls is going to be important in healing from those past hurts, because we have to remember that not everybody is going to hurt you. But I always tell my clients, any chance that you take in a new relationship, whether it's romantic or whether it's a friendship, you are opening yourself up to a chance to get hurt. So you have to determine whether that is worth it for you. If this relationship is worth you opening yourself up to be hurt. Because the other alternative is that you stay lonely or you don't make friends. You know, if you don't take
Suzette, you gotta help me here. You gotta help me here. I mean, if you look, every relationship you can get hurt. You can get hurt by what your parents say. What you gonna do? Be like, man, I don't have no dad no more.
Right.
That's exactly what I mean.
I think the question becomes, when do you, Anissa, suggest that a relationship where the boundaries have shifted, where you may feel like you're getting what you want or not getting what you want, you've communicated it, you've said to the home girl, I'm speaking more so on the kind of the friendship side, when do you know it's time to cut it off? Like, is there a way, or how? Like, there's a friend girl of mine that wants to confront another lady, and I'm like, why are you confronting her? Just ghost her. Like, I really feel like if you already seen the evidence that old girl does not have the maturity, old girl is a messy, stuff starter and likes to, poison the minds of other people about you, why are we confronting that person? Why are we just stepping away from the friendship or what was a parent, some sort of, I don't know, relationship, not really friendship, because she wasn't really ever your friend. So do you keep going back? Do you make your desire known? And when is it really worth saving? And when is it really worth, how many chances do you give? Like, when is it worth just saying this person is not going to be ever, my expectation ever. So I gotta just count my losses and keep it moving.
Well, I definitely would not say cut them off and ghost them.
Right.
Because
so sorry, Suzette. So sorry, Suzette. You need to unghost that person that you
I will ghost you in a minute.
I didn't like confrontation, and I'm pretty sure most people don't. Mm-hmm. But I think in any healthy relationship, there are issues. There's something that's going to come up that you don't like. And every time something comes up that you don't like, if you run, you're creating a pattern of, oh, I want everything to go my way and be easy, right? Without confronting that person. When you confront them and you say, hey, you said this and it hurt my feelings, or I'm noticing you said you was going to be here at this time. You weren't here. You're not being consistent, and I need consistency in my life. And you say that to the person, you confront them and you let them know verbally, what's going on, instead of not answering their calls, ghosting them, right? The things that they know something's wrong, but they're not aware that there's something that they did to cause an offense in you. So I definitely think communicating what happened is going to be important. And I think over time you learn how to do that. You learn how to confront in the friendship. And I always say, is it safe? Right? Because sometimes you have friendships where maybe it's not safe to confront them because they are an abusive friend, or there's a level of a fear there, or something that's going on that is making you feel unsafe. Maybe not confront, but if there's a way that you can communicate this and try to resolve it, if you value the friendship. If you don't value the friendship, then what are you fighting for?
Exactly.
If you don't value it, then there's no point in trying to repair it. But if you do, and you feel like, actually this person is really like this is my girl, this is my guy, whatever, you can fight for that. And if they don't change, though, after you've told them and you don't see any efforts towards change, just like in a relationship, in a romantic relationship, you're not going to keep sticking around letting the person mess up. Like this, what you allow is what will continue. Right.
But you know what, though? But here's the thing. All right, I'm pushing back a little bit, Anissa. Don't get mad at me.
I'm not mad.
But here's what it is. If folks understood that relationships, when I'm talking about friendships outside of intimate relationships, friendships still take work to cultivate and to groom and to take care of, right? Mm-hmm. So friendships, right? So my thinking is, when we're talking about, that whole thing of not talking to the person or ghosting that person or whatever, it's getting to a point where, one, they may need to hear that. They may need to hear that they have this tendency to do whatever the issue is, right? Whatever the violation is, right? Mm-hmm. So that way, for future friendship opportunities, they can keep that in mind. All right, I know, Suzette, you got something to say.
No, sir. No, so let me clarify. Let me just clarify two things. So Karina Denise, shout out to my sister Karina Denise in the chat. When I say ghosting, I'm not talking about my bona fide sister. Know that I hopefully will have her back and she will have my back, ride or die style. That's not what I'm talking about, ghosting. I'm talking about people who are Susie come latelys. I've known them for 2 months. I've known them for 6 even. And I'm not quite sure where they fit, but I see tendencies that are not maybe healthy or loving or serving of what I know to be real and authentic.
But see, that's the thing though, Suzette.
But
that's the thing. Like
Farajii, if they came into your life with ulterior motive, I'm not finna give you no speech.
I got you on that.
Talking about
trust and believe.
This is what, because people try to adapt to what you say and then put on a mask and come back to you. I don't believe in that. I believe I'm seeing your real personality and your real tendency. And if that's how you are to your core, in your soul, I wouldn't want to hang around with you anyway. And I don't know if I have to give you a 101 since that's just you. So I think it's the depth of the friendship. Now, if it's a bona fide, me and a real bona fide sister had a dust up, didn't talk to each other for a while. And I told myself, God, I'm going to call her before the end of the year. I'm going to call her and I'm going to make sure she know I still love her. Even if she feel I did something, she did something, whatever. And we made up and we're back to normal. Now, it did kind of like it was a little different at first. It was almost like a reset for our relationship. But this is a girl I rate and I want her in my life, even though a certain situation led us to kind of be at odds for real. And I was hurt. She was hurt. I didn't think it was going to lead us to not talking, but it did. But now we back. Those are real ones. Those are people that you do spend the time with to invest and say, sis,
but here's my question on that.
This is how you saw it. I love you regardless. But everybody don't deserve that. People
No. Here's my question, though. Here's my question. Because we all been, and I think everybody in the chat's been saying the same thing. Everybody's like, I got friends from years ago. Like, can we make some new friends in 2023, 2022? Do they got to be from college and from high school and from grade school? Like, can we?
I have made. I would say the last 5-7 years, I've made new friends.
Say it again.
They're like 5 to 7 year old friendships now.
All right, 5 to 7 years old. But I'm saying, like, here's the thing, because since we all know, and as adults, we all know that everybody has anxieties about building connections at this point in 2023, right? We all know that people have personality issues. We all know that people are coming to the relationships with a lot of baggage, right? Like, just as much as we're calling on people to kind of fit where we are, we gotta at the same time say to them, I got to fit to where you are. Because check it out. And the only reason I'm bringing this up is because of the work ethic that's required to have a relationship, have a friendship. If you got 3 different friends and you got 3 different individuals, 3 different human beings that have 3 different needs, 3 different styles of living, 3 different, all of these different things. And that means that every time you go with somebody, you got to adjust yourself to this, adjust yourself to that. I mean, that's tiring. And I'm not only talking about 3 different people, 3 different friends. So I'm just saying, is there a way for us to be able to, when you look at the best man, for example, just using this as an example, you got all these people like in this friendship, right? Some of them are closer than others, but they still able to find ways to bond together as 4 different groups of black men or 3 different groups of black women. And I'm just saying, is that even possible? Can we get to that place? Because right now, I think that where we are right now, we it's like, yo, if I ain't meet you in the past 10 years, I don't know you. And I'm like, yo, it's not fair. Like, if you met me, like we just met, like, from the show, right, Suzette? And we're building a friendship.
Absolutely.
But if I
but you ain't show me nothing shiesty, you ain't show me nothing questionable, so we riding.
No reason to, right?
But I'm just saying that's you. That's who you are.
Right.
But
right.
if people out the jump is showing you all kinds of weirdness, you hit it off at first, then they send in a weird text, then you come back, now you weird, you calling me, telling me I don't call you. What are you talking about? I work. I have other things. You know what I'm saying? Like, people seem super needy, and it also comes from their past trauma. Maybe they aren't super needy, but somebody did something to them. So now they're being kind of like overly clingy and not allowing you the space. Sometimes friends need space, and their lives that sometimes get busy. And it's not that they're ghosting you, but right now it's crazy. So you got to give me that space so I can come back. I'm sorry, I'm not talking about nobody specific, but I'm just saying.
Right.
People that, like, it's hard to read between the lines because all of us are carrying our past, our history, and we're coloring in the lines or reading between the lines with what we felt happened in the past, even though that might not have nothing to do with what I'm giving you, the energy I'm giving you right now. But yeah, I don't know. You have to be careful because at the same time, it's terrible to invest a lot of time in a person that turns out to be like not genuine. So I get you have to be open, and I don't say no new friends. However, it's so sticky out here that it's sometimes you feel safer to just roll with the people that you already know. And again, you miss out. So I agree with you, Farajii. We have to keep some part of our hearts open to say God may bless you with somebody that, for I forget who said it in the chat, reason, season or a lifetime. Maybe they're in this season who you need. And
that's
maybe
my man Willie Frazier. He said that. Yep.
Exactly. So I don't know. It's complex.
It's complex. Very quickly, Willie, you said, I believe 2 things: people in your life for seasons and for reasons, and certain people for certain things. I had a friend I can get money with, but I can't party with him. Also a friend, vice versa. So yeah, you got a la carte your friends.
Yeah, no, everybody can't be in the same group.
Everybody can't go.
No, if you into politics, you come with me. Okay, there's another friend that doesn't like politics, and that's okay. You can have different circles, and I think also the nearness to your heart, and there's different layers. So everybody's not necessarily on the same layer, and that's okay. Some people are more casual, some people are deep. But you have to have your boundaries as to who gets to get in which layer, I guess.
Hey, look, Anisha, I got like 1 minute. Before we jump off. Yeah, I gotta jump off this feed, man. I don't want to. Look, we got 1 minute. How can people get a copy of your book? What's your final remarks? And then how can people get a copy of your book?
Well, you can go on Amazon and type in "Please Excuse My Braids," and it's there. But I'll also offer viewers today, if you send me an email, AnisaLWesley@gmail.com. The first 10 people, I'll send you a free copy. So
me too. I can do that.
Yes, anybody. AnisaLWesley@gmail.com.
Okay.
And I will send you a free copy of my book just for being a viewer here today. So, but thank you guys so much for having me today, and for it was an honor being here. So I just really appreciate the conversation. It was really good.
Awesome. Hey, Anisa, I appreciate you. Thank you for your patience, the extra time, spending extra time with us this afternoon. We truly, truly appreciate it. All right. Thank you so much for being so good for the culture, Anisa. All right, folks. Suzette, you got 30 seconds. How can folks tune into the work that you're doing?
This is why I love the culture. We get deep. Y'all come over to my channel as well. I'm a YouTuber. I'm an attorney as well as a YouTuber. Just look at Suzette Speaks or look up Suzette Speaks on YouTube. We've had some fantastic shows about health and wellness, mental health, things that we talk about here and more. So if you like good conversations that get a little deep, fun, and edutaining, please come over, visit Suzette Speaks and subscribe. Thank you, Farajii.
Suzette Speaks. My sister, check her out. Oh, absolutely. Y'all can check her out every Wednesday here, but definitely go to her page and see so much more content from my dear sister. All right, Suzette, thank you so much for being
Bye, everybody. See you next week. Thank you.
Ma'am.
Thank you so much.
All right, folks, that's going to do it for us. I thank each and every one of you for being a part of the conversation. Make sure you go to blackstarnetwork.com, support us, share the information, follow us on social media, and, of course, follow me, yours truly, Farajii Muhammad, at The Real Farajii on Instagram and Farajii on Twitter. I'm so happy to be back. Thank you for your extended support and your great patience as we have been working out the kinks to give you a better viewing experience. So thank you. Stay tuned. Up next is RMU, Roland Martin Unfiltered. As always, never be afraid to challenge what's wrong. Stand for what's right while being yourself in the process. God willing, we'll talk tomorrow for another exciting edition of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Peace.